You are standing in a room full of people. Music is playing. Conversations are happening all around you. Someone is laughing. Someone else is telling a story with their hands. And yet something is pulling at you from the inside. A quiet, hollow pressure behind your sternum. You are surrounded by humans, and you have never felt more alone. You tell yourself it does not make sense. How can you be lonely here? But the real answer is far stranger than you think. And it has almost nothing to do with the people in that room. It starts with a number, not a feeling, not a philosophy. An actual number calculated by a British anthropologist named Robin Dunbar in the early 1990s. Dunbar was studying primates, specifically the relationship between the size of a primate's neocortex and the size of the social groups they lived in. The neocortex is the outer layer of the brain responsible for complex thought, language, and social processing. The bigger it was relative to total brain size, Dunbar found, the larger and more complex the social group the animal could manage. When he applied that same ratio to humans, the number he got was 150. That is the maximum number of stable, meaningful social relationships your brain can actively track. Not acquaintances, not followers, not people you could pick out of a lineup. People you genuinely know. People whose lives you are keeping track of. People you would help without needing to be asked. 150. Dunbar called it the social brain hypothesis, and every human society ever studied, from ancient hunter-gatherer bands to Roman military units to modern military companies, clusters around that number almost automatically. Your brain was built for 150 people, not 1,500, not 1.5 million. But there is more to it than raw numbers, because inside that circle of 150, Dunbar identified several nested rings. The innermost ring holds about 5 people. These are your closest bonds. The people you would call at 3 in the morning, the ones whose loss would break you. The next ring out holds around 15, your broader support network. People you trust. People whose company genuinely restores you. The ring after that reaches about 50. These are reliable allies, good friends, people you are genuinely glad to see. And then the outermost ring, the full 150, holds your active social world. Here is where it starts to get uncomfortable. In most of human history, these rings were full. They had to be. Survival depended on it. Think about the kind of world your ancestors lived in 15,000 years ago. You are part of a band of between 50 and 150 people. You have known most of them since birth. You sleep near them. You hunt with them. You share food with them. You grieve with them when someone dies. You know their quirks, their fears, their stories, their strengths. And they know yours. There is no word for loneliness in this context because the concept barely exists. You are woven into a social fabric so tightly that separation from the group does not feel like discomfort. It feels like danger, because it was. Loneliness, it turns out, is not an emotion. Not in the way sadness or joy are emotions. It is a biological alarm system. John Cacioppo spent decades studying the neuroscience of social isolation at the University of Chicago. What he and his colleagues found rewired how scientists think about human connection. Loneliness, Cacioppo showed, activates the same neural threat response networks as physical pain. When you feel lonely, your brain is not just registering a preference, it is sounding an alarm. The same systems that evolved to detect predators and signal injury are firing in response to social disconnection. Your cortisol rises, your immune function shifts. Your brain enters a state of hypervigilance, scanning for threats, reading neutral faces as hostile, interpreting ambiguity as danger. You become, in a very literal neurological sense, more defensive, more guarded, less open. And paradoxically, all of that makes genuine connection harder to form. This is why loneliness compounds itself. It is not simply the absence of connection, it is a state your brain actively maintains once it is triggered. Because in the ancient world, the moment you were separated from your group, the world became genuinely threatening. A lonely human 20,000 years ago needed to be alert, needed to be cautious, needed to distrust strangers, because strangers were often enemies. Your brain has not updated this program. The algorithm is still running. Now place that algorithm inside a room full of strangers at a party, or a city of 10 million people, or a social media feed with 600 followers who heart your posts and never ask how you are doing. The modern world is the strangest environment the human brain has ever been placed inside. For the first time in 300,000 years of human history, physical proximity to other humans does not mean social connection. You can ride a subway car pressed against 40 strangers